Hello everyone, and this is my more advanced Smash 64 speedrunning guide. I've already made a guide for beginners and intermediate level runners. This guide is going to be less in-depth than those. You can see on the sides, like the other guides I made, it had this description of every single stage and what to do. This one is just more concept-related stuff. This guide is more for the runners that they've got good times, like they are doing really well, and they want to know what's the things they can do to save that extra second or two. So there's not that much overly dramatic stuff I'm going to be talking about. It's just stuff that's going to save maybe a couple of seconds in a run. So that said, most of this I don't even need to go into the stage to do. Some of it I will, but I will discuss what most of these are. So optimal movement, what I mean by that is I can actually go to just target tests or bonus. Actually, I'll go with Donkey Kong in this, for example. So by optimal movement, I mean like just do everything as optimized as you can. I failed that already. So pretty much just do everything as perfect as you can. And the more optimized your movement is, the faster your time is going to be. And pretty much just that. And it's the same thing for every stage pretty much, not necessarily just for the platforms or break the targets. Like if you're comboing a character, making sure you're getting all the optimal running as fast as you can and running at the right times and stuff like that. Other than that, there isn't really much else to say about this. Multiple strategies. What I mean by that is what I see a lot of runners do is I'll actually go into this, and as Pikachu, I will complete this as fast as I can. So as Pikachu, what I'm going to be doing is changing to Yoshi because I'm actually on emulator, and if you've been seeing my other guides, you already know what I mean by that. I'm just going to quickly complete this stage because it's not really part of what I'm talking about. So having multiple strategies, what I mean by that is, what's a good example? Actually, Yoshi is a perfect example. So one thing I see a lot of people do is down tilt is an instant kill on this stage. So what they'll do is they'll come up here, they'll turn around, they'll down tilt, they'll get ready, they'll do their down tilts, they'll get their KOs. There we go. And this is what their strategy is. And then they rage that the Yoshis aren't jumping into them and getting free KOs. Throw that away. But I see a lot of people do this. It's a great strategy if they all spawn, but this is one strategy and obviously it's not going to work at all times. So you have to be willing to adapt and be able to do other things. That's pretty much what I mean by that. So multiple strategies, like you can do down tilts. If I'm here and a Yoshi is on that platform there, I could throw an egg to try to kill it. Or I could stand here and just throw eggs there and down tilt anything that comes close. One important thing about this game is, especially for speedrunning, is being able to adapt to what's been given to you. You're not often going to get optimal stuff happen. Things are going to happen that are not ideal, and you have to be ready to be able to handle those situations. For example, if I'm up here and I'm ready to down tilt, if a Yoshi spawns down here, I'll down tilt the Yoshis that are here, and then back here the one that's here. Then maybe jump back up here, getting ready to down tilt more, and then back here the one that's here. Or maybe neutral air the one that's there, or something like that. Being able to adapt is so key to being able to run this game. So the next one is the biggest one about what I want to talk about, bonuses. So there's a lot of stages in this game, or pretty much every stage in this game, you get bonuses at the end of the run, at the end of each stage. Each bonus takes 1/6 of a second to spawn. So if you think about it, it's very little time. So going out of your way, losing time to save a bonus is not worth it. However, if you can save a bonus in a way that you don't lose time, go for it. So for example, damage, alright, I'm going to stick to Pikachu. No damage. Let's say you're a character like Link, for example. Where's Link? There's Link. So you're doing stuff, you're attacking, you're doing more optimized stuff. And what I did at the very end there is I dealt damage to myself. I pulled out a bomb and I threw it on myself. What that did is that made me lose no damage, it made me lose full power, and it made me lose no items. Because as soon as I threw my bomb, I used an item. It counts as using an item. So by doing that, by just throwing a bomb, I dodged 3 bonuses. You can do that with Link on a lot of stages, which means he is great for dodging a lot of bonuses. But other characters that can't do that easily, there's other ways you can basically get bonuses. For example, if an R-Wing shows up, get in its way so that you get hit by an R-Wing, and that way you take damage. On Samus' stage, if you KO Samus off the top, fast fall into the lava, that way you take damage. If you're on Pikachu's stage and you KO Pikachu and he's falling off the side of the stage and he's slowly dying, run into the Pokemon house and hope that you get hit by something. So pretty much there's ways you can deal damage to yourself that will save you time. No items is more if you're about to heal the last one and they're dying slowly, like if you're on Polygon team and you did a weak hit or something, or they're dying off the top, just grab an item and use it, and that way you just dodge the no item bonus. So keeping in mind of the bonuses, it might not seem like a lot. It's 1/6 of a second each one, so 6 bonuses save a second. However, if you're able to dodge all the bonuses, a lot of bonuses, that will save time over the run. Because there's 10 stages that bonuses will affect you. I'm excluding the bonus stages, Break Target Sport Platforms, and Race to the Finish. So there's 10 normal stages. If you can save 1 or 2 bonuses per stage, that's 3 seconds of time saved. So, for example, Link, if I threw a bomb in almost every stage, I'm probably saving around 4 seconds. Other characters that can't do this, and I just use the lava, or just use an R-Wing, or just jump into the bumper on Mario Bros. Stage, or stuff like that, the little damage I can take actually ends up saving enough time that I could go up an extra second. So that's just something to keep in mind. Just avoid bonuses if you can, and try to get rid of them. And at the same time, try not to do stuff that will get you bonuses. For example, taunting, because just taunting at the end of the stage will give you a bonus. The next thing I want to talk about is bonuses after they're affected by losing a stock. I don't really have to go through a run to show this. And I forgot to include no miss in this. So there's a misconception on wanting to lose stocks. That I've seen a lot of runners do. Actually, this is a good example here. Every stage you do not lose a stock, or every stage that you still have yet to lose a stock on, you get a no miss bonus. So the earlier you lose a stock, the earlier this disappears, and then it disappears for every other stage. So if you get KO'd if you lose a stock on Link's stage, like if you knock him off and then you fast fall so you die before he does, you lose 11 of these no-miss bonuses, which is essentially just under 2 seconds. So that's a lot of time saved. That is unique in that you want to die at some point just to save all that time. The other bonuses include no damage, full power, and mystic. So let's say you did this on the Link stage. One thing I see a lot of people do is on Mario Bros. Or something like that, they'll lose a stock because they think that they're going to save time. That's not always the case. The 3 bonuses that are mostly affected by this are no damage, full power, and mystic. No damage means you never took damage on the stage and you never lost a stock. Full power means you have 0% at the end of the stage. And Mystic means that you just lost your stock and you have not yet appeared on the respawn platform. So if you do not lose your stock, if you have taken damage at any point, do not lose a stock, because you've got no damage, you've lost no damage, you've lost full power. You're basically in the best case scenario if you've already taken damage and you do not lose a stock, because you don't get any of these bonuses and you're good to go. If you do lose a stock, immediately you get full power because you're at 0%. Even if it's a couple of frames before, you get full power. If you recently lost a stock, like within a second or something like that, and you're not yet on the respawn platform, you also get Mystic. So you just gave yourself 2 free bonuses for no reason. If you're at no damage, then the story becomes different. Because if you've never taken damage, you've got the no damage bonus and you've got the full power bonus. By losing a stock, you lose a no damage bonus and you might get the Mystic bonus. If you can lose a stock early enough that you get to the respawn platform, the Mystic bonus goes away, and then you still have full power, but you just lost a no damage bonus. So if you have not taken damage, then losing a stock doesn't hurt you and might actually save you a bonus. So that's kind of where the misconception is coming into play. And I'm seeing people lose stocks, like throwaway stocks, thinking that's a good idea, when really they're just adding more bonuses, especially if they've taken damage. As soon as you've taken damage, if you have not lost a stock yet in the run, absolutely lose that stock, because you want to get rid of the no miss bonuses. That's a ton of bonuses you want to get rid of. But if you've already gotten rid of that bonus, if you've taken damage at any point, do not lose your stock. If you have not taken damage and you can die significantly before your opponent can die, then go for it, because you're going to get rid of the bonus. Keep in mind your stock count though, because if you do end up doing that and you lose a stock, you are going to end up being at less stocks and at threat of being at a game over. This is more for normal and just harder difficulties in general, or if you're doing a lot of suicide strats with a regular DK or something. Because the more stocks you lose, the less stocks you have for SDs or for just trying to complete the run. That's more or less all I want to talk about for that. The last thing I want to talk about is multi-man stages. Save, and I will swap over to DK. So, something that happens is a lot of people don't seem to understand how Yoshis work or how the multi-man stages work. If I KO Yoshis and then they're going to start running around at some point, and now it's really hard to handle them. I can kill some of them at a time, but they're all spread out everywhere, and it's kind of hard to deal with everything. So the better thing to do is try to KO them as they spawn, which is kind of what I was doing there. But if you KO them as they spawn, keep an eye on their shadows. I KO'd all 3. Now they're all going to spawn. I get them before they start doing their jumping around and stuff like that. And it just goes by so much easier. And this applies to pretty much every character. So, for example, Captain Falcon. Just quickly KO them. Just pretty much as soon as they land, I just immediately KO them. And that pretty much makes it so that I've got no worries about where they could jump to. As soon as Yoshi start jumping around, you've got a problem. But as long as you can just get them as soon as they spawn, then you're going to just run through this easily and you're not going to have a problem. That's basically, I'm not going to go through each character and stuff like that. It's just kind of more of a concept related thing. And Falcon was actually a good character to show that with. So that's pretty much all I really wanted to talk about for the more advanced stuff. It's nothing overly dramatic, but just small things that you've probably thought of but never really applied, where in the end it's actually kind of important. Like I was talking with some people about the KO1 spawn, and they said they realized it was a thing, but never really considered applying it. So it's stuff that if someone tells you and like makes you realize it, then you actually start to realize it's a thing, and then you start to do it well. So I just want to include in the advanced tutorial. Anyways, I think that's pretty much everything I want to talk about. This is much shorter than my other two, so that's a plus, I guess. I can't think of anything else, and if there is anything else I want to do, I want to talk about, I might do it in a different guide. I may or may not do a character-by-character guide. I went through most character strategies in the other guides, so you can always just skip over to those guides in the beginner and the advanced guide, the beginner and the intermediate guide. So if you want to find strategies, I went through most of them there. I didn't show the most optimized strategies, but I showed most of the strategies that are good for beginner and intermediate runners. If you're trying to find the most optimized strategies and you're trying to try to get the best PB or try to go for world record or try to go for the most optimized time, at that point, just look at the world record runs. The strategies there, I cannot guarantee, actually most of them are mine. Actually, at the time of this recording, I have all the world records. I cannot guarantee that I use the most optimized strat in every world record, but the strats I use are very good strats that you can use yourself, and you might, if you know what you're doing, you might be able to find better strats than I'm using and be able to use those strats to get world record and a much more optimized run. So if you're trying to improve beyond this guide, most of the stuff is not really stuff I can just teach you in a guide. It's just more watch runs of other runners and try to use the strats they use, and or even better, find better strats and then use those strats. There's so many strats that have yet to be discovered, and so many strats are being discovered by runners who just randomly come into the game and use a strat that no one ever thought of. So there's always new strats to be found. So that's pretty much all I'm going to say about this. So thank you for watching the advanced guide, and thank you if you watch all three guides, and good luck on your runs, and hopefully you get the best run you can. Thanks for watching.